Velocicoaster is a brand new for 2021 Intamin multi-launch coaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. This ride looks stunning across the lake as you enter the park, as well as looking great as you walk under the ride and around the ride near the Jurassic Park Discovery Center in the ride's plaza. The ride stats are also pretty impressive with a height of 155 feet, speed of 70 miles per hour, 4 inversions, and 4,700 feet of track. The ride also features 2 really fun launches, one to start the ride, going from 0 to 50 in 2 seconds, and one in the middle as a boost launch, going from 40 to 70 in 2.4 seconds. The ride's trains have a very sleek and modern design, with just over-the-shoulder lap bars as the only restraint, that are extremely comfortable. The trains also have a light package with blue lights on the front of the ride vehicle, which look great, especially when the ride goes over the water. The ride's theming is also very impressive, but not surprising given Universal's track record at theming their rides and coasters. I mean, just look at Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure in the same park. The ride's queue line is especially well themed, with 2 raptor animatronics in muzzles as you walk past them that shake every so often. They look astonishingly real, especially in the eyes. Really impressive stuff for sure. The ride also has a lot of in-queue videos with Mr. DNA, Dr. Wu, Claire, and Owen, all from the Jurassic World movies. The final pre-show, as you approach the station, is especially good, with Claire and Owen talking about how riders are going through a literal raptor paddock on a roller coaster, and Owen saying how idiotic that is. And that is actually the theme of the ride. You are on a roller coaster going through a raptor cage with raptors running alongside you. They achieve this theme by having a bunch of raptor statues screeching at you while you go past them during the ride. They don't move, but you really can't tell while on ride, so they look pretty real as you race past them. The ride also has a lot of rock work and greenery that you speed through, mainly in the first half, but the second half goes over the very picturesque lagoon. As you can tell, this ride has a lot going on, but let's see exactly what the ride experience entails. The ride begins with a very fun but not overly intense 0 to 50 mile per hour launch right into the ride's first inversion and Immelman. I love the sense of speed of this launch, and the Immelman has some pretty solid airtime if you're shooting towards the back of the train. You then duck under a rock structure, which is a fantastic near miss, right into the second inversion, a dive loop, which gives solid hang time. You then take a sharp overbank turn into a really strong off-axis airtime hill, easily the best airtime hill of the first half, but there's plenty more later on. You then turn and rise back up past your first raptor into an S-bend, and then to another slight right turn. You then take a really sharply banked turn by another raptor, which is another super fun transition. The ride emerges from another rock structure and takes a slight turn into the 40 to 70 mile per hour booster launch, which is easily one of the highlights of the ride. You can really feel all that speed on this launch as you race through the tunnel into the top hat. Once again, the top hat is another highlight of the ride, easily giving the most sustained ejector airtime in the back rows. 80-degree angle, and it basically feels vertical as you plunge down next to the ride's plaza. You then go right into the ride's 0G stall, which gives solid hang time right over a pathway. The ride enters the oscillating helix, starting with a really fun wave turn, ejecting riders sideways. As the ride keeps turning, it then enters into another strong ejector airtime moment with an outer banked hill. The ride takes another almost full rotation around the pathway into a solid speed hill with an ejector pop. After the speed hill, the riders prepare to enter the Mosasaurus roll, easily my favorite inversion on the ride, and on any coaster for that matter. This thing is absolutely insane. It feels like the ride is trying to rip you straight out of the ride vehicle right into the water. It somehow gives sustained ejector airtime on inversion. It's just insane. Finally, the ride goes into another axis ejector moment into the final brake run. This ride is just pure insanity, with a bunch of highlight elements including the 155-foot top hat, both launches, the wave turn, and my personal favorite element, the Mosasaurus roll. The ride also has a fantastic atmosphere as you just walk up to the ride, as it looks very photogenic from pretty much every angle. As for my overall rank of Velocicoaster, it's my new number one, just barely beating out Storm Chaser, but they're both really, really good. I got 3 rides on this coaster during my 3 days at Universal, all of which in row 9, funnily enough. But I think that gave me a good feel for the ride nonetheless. The ride also has a crazy good capacity. For my 3rd ride, the park was slammed and most of the ride's extended queue was being used, and I still waited just an hour, and even that was with a slight delay in operation. So if the ride's extended queue isn't being used, it shouldn't be more than 30 or 40 minutes, if that. Now I also used the single rider queue 2 times, and while the line moved ridiculously slow at points, it was generally faster than the normal line, but maybe by only 10 or 15 minutes. So just be aware that if the park is slammed, the single rider queue might move pretty slow and sometimes be at capacity. I saw that a couple times on the Saturday I went, where they wouldn't let any more people in the single rider queue just because it was full. The ride also has a fantastic double-sided locker system, which is really easy to use and allows you to use your phone for most of the queue line while also using a free locker system. Overall, this ride is a slam dunk for Universal, and at the moment at least, Universal is lapping Disney in quality rides, in my opinion. Velocicoaster is a great ride, no question the best ride of 2021, at least in the US. If you're even pondering a trip to Universal this year, this ride alone makes it worth a visit. Be sure to subscribe for more coaster reviews and definitely be on the lookout for Universal Orlando videos in the near future.